Hi everyone, welcome to Constructing Leadership Brick by Brick. I'm Ellie, this is episode 1, and we're going to be taking a look at the vast and fascinating world of leadership through Lego models. I'm not a leadership expert, I am an enthusiast, but I'm not a John Maxwell, Simon Sinek, Lee Cockrell. I'm not somebody that has realms and realms of corporate experience. I just love the subject and I think it's fascinating, and I think it's something that everybody can talk about because we all have experience in leadership, whether it's as a follower, whether it's as a leader, socially, or within a hierarchical organisation. I think sometimes though there's so much out there now on leadership and it can be overwhelming and we can get bogged down, and I'm just going to throw out yet another vlog into that mix of leadership resources. Now, one of my favourite questions to ask people when I'm in a work situation, especially if you're running low on small talk, is if you could produce a model out of Lego, you had unlimited Lego, and you could produce a model of something that is meaningful in leadership to you, whether that's an experience or whether it's an attribute, a characteristic, a metaphor, what would you produce? And it's actually a really great conversation because people will come in with different ideas and then other people will chip in and add their opinions and what they think based on their experiences. And you might have a difference within what you think, but it's a discussion and it leads to greater understanding. And that's what we're here to do today. And Lego is a great tool for being able to facilitate those discussions because it allows a really visual representation that you can talk through. Now, there is a thing called Lego Serious Play, which is a really great tool as well to be able to discuss team building and goal setting and looking at how organisations work. And this is not strictly Lego Serious Play, but it's taking some of those elements and putting it into something that we can relate to. So let's get started. You've just seen a very quick run through of what I've built, and I don't know whether you've got any ideas of what that's going to be. So let's get started on what that is. Now, what did you think it was going to be? Okay, so it's a box. I've created a Lego box, which is well done me. But actually, it's a present. I've created a present, and that's how I am going to start this episode with. Episode 1 is Leadership is a Gift. And when we look at it, I think we're often guilty of being so bogged down in the day-to-day running of leadership and the doing that we don't take into account that these are great opportunities that we get. Now, I appreciate that people watching this are watching from different walks of life. So you may think, well, I don't have any leadership responsibility, but you are also a follower. And we're all followers and leaders in different spheres of our life, whether it's socially in a social club or a social setting, or whether you are in an organisation where there's a fairly strict hierarchy. And so it's just having that awareness. Now, a couple of years ago, I came across a really great Twitter account by Stephen Powell. He is the owner of the Freshwater Coffee House in the Isle of Wight. He is a coach, he's an artist, he's a poet, and just an incredibly talented man. And at the time, I just started working at the Royal Naval Leadership Academy, which was a fantastic opportunity. I was working and instructing on the Leading Rates Leadership course. And we taught lots of theory and we did lots of practicals. But sometimes it was relating the subject to something that they could fully understand. Now, when I came across this poem, it was really exciting. I got a few copies of it, laminated, put it up in the classroom, and it was a penny drop moment for some people because it was recognising that leadership is a privilege and that it shouldn't be always taken lightly. So the poem is, leadership is not about platitudes, it's about attitude. Knowing the difference between wrong and right. Leadership is about balance. Knowing when to move forward and to move back. Leadership is about others, knowing who to give flight to and when to give others the chance. Leadership is not knowing, but knowing that together you will find a way. Leadership is a gift, give it today. And it's just finished off with leadership. It is given, not taken, bestowed upon you by those around you. Use it wisely. And I used that. I gave it to lots of colleagues and said, this is really fascinating. It's a great way to look at leadership. That actually we are responsible in how we develop other people. So there's a link down at the bottom to Stefan's Twitter. Please check it out because he's got some absolutely amazing work on there. So let's look at the present that we've got today. So as you can see here, it doesn't look a very exciting present. It's very mundane, it's brown. It could be the actual, imagine a gift given to you in brown parcel paper or a plastic bag that it was bought in. It doesn't invoke any excitement. You kind of go, could be something quite dull in here. But sometimes what we do is we then try and make it a little bit more exciting. And we put a bow on top. Or the gift could be wrapped in this really, really exciting multicoloured paper. It's got sparkles in it, there's lots of colour, and it invokes even more excitement. The paper's great. Somebody's really thought about how they're going to wrap this gift for me. And that's what it comes in. But that isn't to discredit the brown paper parcel, because for some people, a parcel through the post wrapped in brown paper is just as exciting as a gift wrapped in multicoloured paper. So now let's apply this to leadership opportunities. So let's talk about it from the giving perspective. We're sometimes guilty, especially if you are in a position of authority, of being given a task to do, and you think, I don't really want to do that, or that sounds a bit dull. I'm going to re-gift that. I'm going to re-gift that to somebody else. And perhaps it's a subordinate, and we dress it up, we put that bow on, and we go, this is a really great opportunity for you. Really great opportunity for you. You are going to get so much out of this. And again, are we guilty of that? I think probably quite a few of us are. Or, again, we'll make it out to be super shiny. And we'll go, it's super exciting, you'll have a great time. But actually, it's also about knowing your audience, because something that is this to you might actually be this to somebody else, dependent on strengths and characteristics. For example, I cannot think of anything more dull than organisation, because my administration is not particularly great. I would rather be out doing rather than sitting writing. But for some people, that is really, really interesting. And so again, maybe when you re-gift, it's knowing somebody that really does want that opportunity. And so when we look at this, often when we are in a position of leadership, we're often in a position of authority, with the power to be able to tell people what to do or delegate down those tasks. So when we're looking at it, when we're given a job, or we're handing out this gift of leadership, what is our motivation behind it? Is it something that we need doing but we don't have the opportunity to do it ourselves because we're busy? Or is it that actually it's just something we don't want to do, so we're handing down this gift in the beige box? And is it that this person sees it as being that, or do they take the opportunity? Or are you guilty of doing, exactly that, of giving them a gift we think is particularly poor, but dressing it up to sound exciting? Or do they see it as being, something that is really exciting because they have a different viewpoint to you? The other thing is, when we look at Stefan's poem, actually the key, to me, the key phrasing is leadership is about others, knowing who to give flight to and when to give others the chance. So, leadership is about people. Now, this is to me. Now, if you would disagree, you can say in the comments, and that's absolutely fine, because everybody has various opinions and perceptions and understandings of, what leadership is to them. And to me, leadership is about the people within our sphere who we are looking after or facilitating or providing for. And so it is about understanding who to give flight to, and knowing that the opportunities we give them are not going to overwhelm them, or if they are, how well do we support them with that? Are we giving them a real chance to develop, even if it's through giving a sort of fairly routine, regular task, but giving them the opportunity to shine whilst doing it? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just delegation, and that's development in everyday leadership. If all we ever gave out were the super shiny things, where people got leadership moments, it gives a false impression of actually what everyday leadership is. You know, the idea that every bit of leadership that you do earns you some sort of reward and glory is a real misconception, because the majority of the time leadership is about turning up and doing and creating that solid foundation. But then also we have to remember that whilst we might want to be selfish, leadership is about others, and it is about knowing who to give flight to. So sometimes it is that recognition to people who are doing things even when ourselves are doing, or giving somebody the opportunity to do something when actually we really would like it ourselves. And I think that can be quite a hard part of leadership, is seeing an opportunity where you desperately would like it because it's something you're really interested in, but if you know that there's somebody that's going to benefit greater from it, it's about them being able to give them the opportunity to shine. Now, I'm in the military, I'm in the Navy, we do some leadership courses, and the way that I can really fully relate this is on our exercise, on our leadership course, there used to be a thing called Incentive Hill, which is a massive, great big hill at Salisbury Plains, and it was to get up to the top. Now, the actual exercise itself is 4 days. You go through various stages. I really enjoyed it, but I know some people hated it. And again, for some people, that exercise was this, and for other people, the exercise is this, dependent on what your strengths and your characteristics are and just who you are as a person. Now, throughout the course, there's the general administrative side. You go out, and especially when you go out as a senior rate, you are there to make sure that the juniors who are also on exercise with you are looked after, they are informed, they are kept up to date. I'm not saying I'm a perfect leader by far, far from it. You know, I'm average at best, and I really enjoy talking about this, but I don't know whether practically it makes me actually any better. But whilst you're out on exercise, the aim as the senior is to look after your juniors. Now, for some people that's really, really boring or dull or mundane. The everyday leadership where you go out and look after other people consistently, you are reliable, you turn up, you do the job, and you build those foundations of trust, isn't actually that exciting. What they want are the shiny leadership moments where they get to stand out away from the crowd and have people go, wow, aren't they amazing? And Incentive Hill sort of separates the two groups, because for 3-4 days you have been watched not only by the directing staff, but you've also been watched by your juniors and your peers, and people are very quickly forming ideas about where you stand and how you lead people. And that is this kind of leadership. The everyday, you turn up, you make sure people are looked after, you look after the minor things, you sort out the minor things. But then when we got to Incentive Hill, that was the moment where some people who hadn't spoken up for maybe 3-4 days suddenly appeared at the front, ready to lead the way, ready to charge up that hill, ready to take all the credit and the glory for getting the team to the top. And that sometimes is what we can be guilty of as well, identifying those opportunities and taking them for ourselves. And it's this paper that we apply to things. And we apply this paper. When we're given an opportunity, we pick up signals from the person giving it to us, we pick up signals from those around us, and by our own experiences and preconceptions of what we're being given, we apply our own wrapping paper. So, I've got a job for you. Oh, excellent, there's a job for me. It's probably going to be boring, it's probably going to be something that person doesn't want to do. But sometimes as a follower, we also don't realise how much the person above us has on. They are genuinely delegating that task. And it may be that they're delegating that task because they have other things on that is like this, but they just don't have capacity for one more. Maybe they genuinely do think they're giving us this, but because we don't see it that way, we automatically assume it's going to be dull. So sometimes we have to just apply and change the wrapping paper we put on the experiences that we have. Now, in 2014, I was really fortunate to go to an exhibition in Brick Lane, The Art of Brick by Nathan Sawyer. And his Lego is just phenomenal. Some of it's very, literal representations. His T-Rex, some of the recreations of famous paintings, and they're just beautiful. But some of them are quite profound and thought-provoking. And one of the ones that I really, really loved was the present. And it's a Lego figure, not just a minifigure, but a sculpture, sat on a bed, looking at a gift wrapped up with a bow. And actually it's the contemplation of what is in the box. Until we unwrap it, we don't know what's going to be in there. And it is our choice to unwrap that gift. And so ultimately it's up to us to take the bow off, take the lid off, and look what is inside. But prior to doing that, we will always think what's in there. And the possibilities are endless. All right, it's based, you sort of moderate your expectations based on the size of the box, but it could be anything in there. And there is almost a joy and a sense of anticipation in what that could be. And sometimes that's what we do with leadership. We already think we know what's in the box before we even unwrap it. And so it's not falling into that trap. It's about having that open mind when it comes to the experiences being given. So when we decide we're going to take the lid off the box, it could actually result in many, many different things. Now, somebody else who was gifted a box was Pandora. Now, it depends which version you read. More than likely, she was gifted an urn. But, for the sake of fitting it into this analogy, we're going to say she was given a box. And not only was Pandora gifted a box, she was gifted the gift of ultimate curiosity, which is fine if she had also been told she could open the box, but she couldn't. She was not allowed to open that box. So, a winning combination, ultimate curiosity with a box you can't open. I cannot see what would go wrong here. Anyway, eventually one day Pandora opens the box and out come many, many things. And this is a bit like leadership. We choose to open that box. When we're given an opportunity, we can either just do it numbly, going through the motions, or we can choose to invest in it. And investing in those opportunities is like taking the lid off the box. So let's now take the lid off the box. Now, in Pandora's box, many bad things came out. So, there were things that were scary, there was depression, there was anxiety, there were all the evils of the world. Now, if we think about maybe the evils in leadership, what could that be? Perhaps that is failure. Many people don't want to open that leadership box because they are afraid of failure. Maybe it's being overwhelmed by the task, not knowing who to ask, not knowing where to go, failing the people around you. And that can inhibit people in their practice. It's taken away that joy because we're so afraid of what might happen. But what we often forget is that the story of Pandora doesn't stop at her opening the box and the evils of the world coming out and never being able to be put back in the box. But when she shut the box, what she shut back in was hope, because left at the bottom of the box was hope. So that now leads to the second element of using the box as an analogy, because reflection is a really important part of leadership. And reflecting on our experiences and our practice in order to improve and develop for those around us. So let's now say that this box is the reflective side of leadership. Again, we choose to reflect. And so again, we choose to open that lid. And what might come out are so many different things. We might have the feelings of anxiety. We reflect, and we tend to reflect on things that didn't go so well. We take the opportunity to ponder over, what went wrong, what could I have done better, how would I change this? But it can bring up feelings of inadequacy or being overwhelmed or embarrassment. That's a great one, isn't it? When we don't do something particularly well, we feel like we're embarrassed by what we've done. But through reflection and through discussion and through looking for those wider resources and people to talk to, we can improve. By looking for feedback, we can ask people, what did I do, or could I have done it differently? And lots of things can come out of this leadership box, whether we use it as whether we see the box as the opportunity that we've been given. So maybe it's fun things, somebody gives us the leadership gift. Here we go, I've got this task for you. Take it away, do something with it. And it might be really fun things like, I don't know, some opportunity to get dressed up and go out and have that shiny leadership moment and embrace it, you know, take all you can for it. But again, it might be something that's really hard. Maybe it's a difficult colleague who we just don't know how to deal with, or subordinates or followers who we're really, really struggling to understand. We want the best for them, but we also have to look at elements of how we shape that person. Maybe it's a clashing of viewpoints, because what I consider to be really effective leadership is based on my personality, based on my behaviours and my upbringing and the experiences that I've had. But that might be completely different to my colleague or somebody above me or somebody below me who views leadership in a completely different way. And so it might be that clash of personality, that conflict. How do we get over that conflict? But again, through the experience, we learn and we understand how we make these things better for next time. The ever-growing circle of experience allows us to take past experiences. But that's through reflection, and it's taking the opportunity to reflect. And eventually, hopefully, we're going to come out as being on top, the winner, the number one. But then the next time we open that leadership box, we might open it back up to this. It's never ending. We're always learning. We're always having the new experiences. And it's accepting that these two things might always be leapfrogging around this box, this analogy of leadership being a gift. You know, let's throw in a fun opportunity there, because every so often we're going to get these different opportunities that lead to different things. You know, it's never ending. We're just constantly growing, and we're on a constant cycle of development and practice. And so that is the analogy of leadership being a gift. You know, how do we dress it up? How do we give it to other people? How do we receive it? Do we receive these opportunities with, you know, our own wrapping paper applied to it? You know, are we guilty of trying to make something more of an opportunity than what it actually is? You know, do we often forego the mundane leadership because it appears to be quite dull or time consuming or hard work? But actually maybe what we're doing there is chipping away at the foundations of a really solid relationship with our colleagues and our followers and those around us and those above us. You know, who are we putting ourselves out to be if we're just going to chip away at that opportunity and not, you know, take the time to develop through it? So that is our little bite-sized chunk of leadership today. So you know, a bite-sized insight into leadership, and I hope you enjoyed it. There are links below to all of the things that I've mentioned. So Stefan Powell and Nathan Sawaya, there are links to their Twitter accounts below. Please take the time to check them out, because they are absolutely amazing. If you've enjoyed this, please leave a comment below. If you completely disagree with me, leave a comment below, because actually I'd love to hear what you've got to say, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Over the next coming weeks, I'll hopefully do some interviews with people, let them bring in their own Lego ideas and ideas and metaphors and put them into Lego, as well as maybe some book reviews. I love a leadership book, and I love a great discussion about leadership. So please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Bye.